I thank the member for Sleaford and North Wycombe for securing this important debate. It is, as I said earlier, no coincidence that many of us speaking in this chamber today represent Rutland, Leicestershire or Lincolnshire, which has been historically known as the breadbasket of England. It has fed our nation for centuries. And yet, as I mentioned earlier, we are seeing a concentration of solar developments in those areas, with over 50% of all land nationally proposed for solar plants being in Lincolnshire and bordering counties. And perhaps colleagues might wish to adopt that language of solar plants because that is what they are. I worry that this does not bode well for our national food security when the heartlands of our agriculture are being assaulted. At my last count, there were 77 solar plants currently proposed in Lincolnshire and bordering counties that total over 38,000 acres of land in just our corner of our great country. In Rutland Melton alone, we have solar plant proposals or in place in Exton, Ryle, Essendine, Ragdale, Barkston, Plunger, Ketton, Ranksborough, Pilton, Musson, Upping and Belmsthorpe, let alone the nearby Stamford villages such as Carblies, Braceborough and Casewig. It is unacceptable that we are seeing this assault on our local planning infrastructure. DEFRA is very clear in its guidance that grade 3A and above best and most versatile farmland should not be used for energy projects. Solar Energy UK say that solar plants generally utilise previously developed land, such as brownfield sites and land of lower agricultural quality. But this is simply not true, and here are a few examples by geographical location. In Bassetlaw, 100% of all solar plants are on BMV land. In Scruton, 97% are on best and most fertile land. In Drax, 94%. Shropshire, 97%. Campbellsford, 94%. Old Malton, 60%. That is and cannot be right. In my own constituency of Rutland and Melton, we have a proposal for a 2,000-acre Mallard Pass solar plant, which is made up of, yes, just 6% Grade 1 land, but 47% Grade 2A land and 47% Grade 3B land. If it goes ahead, we will lose 2,000 acres of productive farmland. If we are serious about food security, we cannot allow this to happen, because if it does, by 2050, only 9.2% of land classifying as BMV will still be under cultivation for food purposes. Everyone needs to stand by the protection of our farmland, and that's why, to make it a reality, I'm calling on DEFRA to make its guidance against energy project as BMV land legally binding, and I will be tabling a clause to the energy bill to prevent BMV land from excessive solar development. I hope that all honourable members in the chamber today will come and sign that amendment to make clear that we need to put this into law. I also want to touch briefly, in reverse to the comments of many colleagues, on solar developers essentially making a mockery of our planning process by putting in proposals for 49.9 megawatts to avoid the scrutiny of being over 50 megawatts in a nationally significant infrastructure project. From my own research, I've discovered one developer, Econ Energy, with 2 applications for solar plants in the UK, one in Rutland, claiming when they go to the planning authorities that they will produce just 49.9 megawatts. Yet when I went onto their website and into their internal presentations that apparently are for shareholders only, but they seem to have put them online, these developments are listed as generating 80 megawatts and 53 megawatts. So essentially they're going to the local planning system in the pretext that they will produce 49.9 when they are not, and they have no intention of doing so. And this suggests foul play. If solar developers are playing the system to avoid scrutiny, they must be punished by the planning inspectorate just as any person would if they broke planning laws. And I've given these documents to the Secretary of State for levelling up housing communities to ask for an urgent investigation because due process must be followed. I also want to call on the government to act over forced Uyghur labour in solar supply chains. The US and the EU have both taken concrete actions to protect their markets from goods that are produced by Uyghur slaves, yet we have done nothing. Consequently, we are now a dumping ground for goods made with Uyghur slave labour, making a mockery of our modern slavery laws, and a vote in this House where we said that the persecution of the Uyghur is a genocide. From June to November 2022, over 1,000 shipments of solar panels from China were seized by the United States due to their links with Uyghur forced labour. Not one shipment has been seized in the UK. Canadian Solar, the developers behind the proposed Mallard Pass solar plant in Rutland, are one of the worst offenders. Not only have their supplies been sanctioned by the US government, they've had shipments seized. They're now being done for tariff dodging because they put their products through Thailand, hoping the US authorities wouldn't notice that they were originally made in China. They were named in the Sheffield Hallam report as guilty of being complicit in genocide, and even their own shareholders tried to deselect their board over links to forced labour. They then called my office and said, what would Alicia like to drop her opposition to our solar plant? We'd love to know what she would like in return for this. No, I will not be bought off, and I hope that none of my Lib Dem-led council are meeting with Canadian Solar and having similar conversations. So I ask, why is this organisation, Canadian Solar, allowed to apply to build nationally significant infrastructure in our country, and why is the government taking no action? Something here is not right, and if the government won't act, I ask members to back me and back the other clause that I will be tabling to the energy bill, where I will insulate our market from panels tainted by Uyghur blood and other forms of forced labour. Solar will be an important part of our push for net zero, and that's what we in Rutland want. But we will not have it at any price, and communities in Rutland and the Stamford villages will not accept blood-tainted products. To ensure solar's contribution is truly a positive one, I am calling on the government to make guidance against building energy projects on B&V land legally binding. I'm asking them to urgently investigate solar developers misrepresenting their applications as generating only 49.9 megawatts and punish any offenders. And I'm asking them to follow the US and EU in finally blocking solar imports made with Uyghur forced labour as part of genocide, because to fail to act would be immoral. Thank you, Chair.
Sir John